when I'm reading for information for science or technology, I tend to go from the big picture toward details. You know, so I need to see the big picture. Yet I loved in your close reading, you flip it. You're going to the minutia, which opens up an even bigger picture.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So tell me more about, why does that work for you? I mean, I love that. And I think to be a really good learner or observer, you have to be able to go from both perspectives. I never even thought about that. I mean, as not just a learner, but as a good observer, you have to be able to go both directions fluidly.
You have to be able to have a sense that you're in a forest, be able to look at the trees.
Yeah.
You also have to be able to look at the trees and the foliage deeply and infer the forest from it, right?
Right.
So you're right. And that's never an either or, it's both.
Yeah.
Interesting though is, especially for argumentative essays, it can't be as soon I already know my argument and I'm going to argue it without evidence. And that can run the risk of a lot of issues, and they're mostly all having to do with ethics. And if you are going to argue your stance, I need small details. I need textual details. They have to be embedded in what you observe in the text. So it's observation based. So you are going to take 3 or 4 observations, interpret those observations. There's a difference between observation and interpretation. Right.
Yes.
Right. And so so I would say observation is thing you're looking at, is almost like you're looking at it. You used a beautiful word, kinetic. Interpretation is when observation becomes kinetic. Right?
Yeah.
Meaning you are, and an interpretation has to be open-ended. It can't be fixed. So what's interesting is for an argumentative essay, if you're going to create an argument, you have to take 3 to 4 different observations, turn each into interpretation, stream them together logically, and make a claim, right? So the way I teach students is by saying it's a whodunit. It's every time a whodunit. As you enter a text, you're the detective. You have a vague understanding that something happened here, but all you're doing is looking for clues. So you're looking for details. So you're actually, so some clues might some clues might be false clues.
Right.
You might come across an object that might seem very related to something that happened here, but it might not be. And you have to hone your gut and your interpretive skills to know, is this relevant? So that's another thing, to know the relevance of your own interpretation and the relevance of a detail. These are all gut building exercises, you know? And then you have to stream them together and logically make a point.
Right.
Otherwise, all you're giving me is an opinion, which is not reason-based, logic-based, detail-based. So for argumentative essays, it's so important to go from the little to the big, but to always have a sense of the big.
Well, you have to have that, I think, as you're writing. I mean, right. But I'm sorry, this is so cool about the whodunit, because I'm thinking about science and that connection, because everything's the same except from the who. Maybe it could be a protein.
Could be a what. Could be any, yeah. It can be a what.
Or a why done it, or a how done it.
How is the most important. The process is the most important part.
Yeah.
Nothing more important than process, right? It's
right.
usually really how done it.
Yes.
But also, I want to let you know that, like, when I give them essays, and I've done this for I don't know how long I've been here, I always call each essay an experiment. And an experiment, by the way, comes from the same root as the word experience. And experiment and experience are both etymologically connected by the root experere, which means to try. Every experience is an experiment, right?
Yeah.
Every experiment is an experience. You're trying. They can have a hypothesis based on the story, because we've discussed it in class. The hypothesis is less than a thesis, but it's just as important. It's like saying, I think this is what's happening here, but I don't know. I think, I feel, but I don't know. So the process of discovery is to turn the thinking into knowing.
Right.
And so their job is to turn the hypothesis to thesis by streaming together the clues. You have to get to a destination, and that's your thesis, right? You have a vague understanding of where you're going, but you really don't know. Your GPS is your gut. And the more analytically sort of strong you become, the stronger your gut is. You will know after 6 months of literary study which evidence might be more cogent, more persuasive than another, right?
Mm-hmm.
It comes with practice. Right.
Yep.